Hello, everyone. Dr. Miller here to talk to you about variable scope. This is something you didn't have to worry about before uh, using functions. Um, in Python, variable scope is really just something that you need to worry about with functions. Other languages, there are other issues with scope, but in Python, it really doesn't come into play until functions. So let's take a look at this example here and see what variable scope is and how it works. So we have this program here. It's meant to have a score, and you can either update or print the score. So pretty simple. We have our main function here that basically runs the program. It has a menu. You have three options. You can update the score, print it, or exit the program. So if we run this, we can see, all right, prints 1,000. That's what we expected. We type 1 to update the score. Let's say we want to update it to 500. Okay. Now, when we go to print it again, we would expect it to be 500, but it is not 500. It is the original value of 1,000. And this is where variable scope comes into play. And in Replit, I'm getting this green squiggly line here. So it's not red, it's not an error, but when you see green, that's a warning. It's saying, hey, this might be wrong. You might want to look at it a little closer. And it says local variable score is assigned to, but never used. So it's saying basically we gave score a value, but we never used it anywhere. But if you look through the program, we're printing it here. So how could we not be using it? And that's the idea of scope. When we say score equals new score on line 4 here, that creates a new variable called score. And it has what's called a different scope than this score variable. This score variable has a scope that is the full program. So this variable exists throughout the whole program. The score on line 4 only exists in the update score function. Once update score finishes, this local score variable is done. And sometimes that's what you want. But in this case, we wanted to be using the variable up the top. And that's where a concept known as global variables comes in. So this score at the top is global. It exists throughout the whole program. This score is local, but we don't want it to be local. We want it to be using the global variable. So to make sure it uses the global variable, before we assign anything to it, we have to type global and then score. So now, whenever we use score in the update score function, it will use the global version and not make a new local version. So if I run it now, it should give us the results we expect. So the original score is 1,000. I update it to 500. Now when I print it, it shows the updated value of 500 because we are using a global variable instead of a local one. So hopefully that kind of explains the idea of scope to you. If you get into other languages, you even have scope like within if statements or within loops, things like that. But at least for this class, all you have to worry about is function scope. So if you want a variable that exists across the whole program, across multiple functions, then you can make a global variable.